Hello, hello, everyone. Happy belated International Women's Day. That was yesterday. How was it for you? Was it a beautiful, joyful, fun, celebratory experience? Were you working hard for it, doing all of those, creating events and doing all these things for women? And are you a bit knackered from it? I had a really this was a really interesting International Women's Day for me. It's really great that we have these holidays to keep the conversation going. Did you know that International Women's Day is over 100 years old? It was first celebrated in 1911. So it was born out of the women's labor movement in the United States. And took on global, then went to Russia in 1917, where women got the right to vote. And each country kind of has its own unique embracing and history around this holiday, but the origins and the source were very much women's suffrage and women's rights. It wasn't until 1975 that the UN recognized it. And I've been seeing it, it's been hitting organizations maybe the last 10 years. Like 5 years ago, I feel like some organizations said something about it and some didn't. And now I feel like if you work in an organization of at least 100 people, someone's going to say something, like someone's going to do something about it. And it's different in different countries for sure. And I found this out through my family. So my Italian family wrote in a WhatsApp group like, "Oh, happy holiday today," because it's a women's group in my family. And an American asked me offline, "Catherine, what's today?" And I said to her, sorry, Mom, I'm outing you, but you're not on social media, so it's okay. You won't see this. I was like, "Mom, it's International Women's Day. Like, how do you not know that?" But she doesn't know that because she's not really on social media. So there's varying degrees of knowledge and awareness around this holiday, and different companies do different things about it. But I wanted to check in with you. Did you all do what you felt would honor you on International Women's Day? So last year, full disclosure, I had a bit of a meltdown on International Women's Day. So first of all, I work at Jiffy, the Global Institute for Evolutionary Women. So I spend 365 days of the year, like it's sometimes what can feel like 24/7, like I'm devoting my life to making things better for women and men who get that there's still some things to resolve around women and men being equal and co-partners in life and in the world. So last International Women's Day, remember the theme, break the bias? I had an absolute meltdown when I opened my computer that day and saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images of women doing this. Like this was so aggressive, so masculine. And whilst break the bias is important to raise awareness around bias, but breaking it, smashing it, this aggressive language around it was just really disturbing for me. Just to be clear, bias is something we all have. We can't break it. We can only raise awareness around it. So we can only shine a light on it so that we make sure our biases aren't running the show. But we can't eliminate bias. So, pointing to like breaking, trying to smash something that you can't actually smash, that's not actually the right or helpful approach to bias, as well as seeing hundreds of women like this, I absolutely cried. And if anyone wants to see that video, I did do a Facebook Live about it. So let me know and I'll show you the real raw, emotional, snotty stuff around that. So I decided this year I wanted to do something lighter. I wanted to bring some lightness, some celebration genuine celebration to this holiday for me personally that would be authentic. And I was speaking to women from Hungary and Ghana and Italy yesterday, and those women in their countries, they really had this authentic, like, happy day. International Women's Day is happy for them. So I was asking them, what do you do in your countries to celebrate this day? And they're like, oh, we get each other flowers and cakes. It's kind of like a Mother's Day, but for all women. And the Hungarian was like, yeah. And then Saturday night, all my friends are going to go out and have like a great time. And I was like, this is so wonderful. Like, that's an authentic expression of celebration for them. Like, how amazing is that? And I thought, what would be authentic for me? I was like, what, since I I'm always doing something for women, why don't I take the day off? Why don't I go to the spa? So I had this idea to go to the spa and just relax, because that's what I really wanted to do. And then I got an invitation to speak on International Women's Day, and I thought, well, the spa can wait. My calling is kind of stronger than my desires, and I can go to the spa later. So I was kind of, quote unquote, working on International Women's Day, and I was very happy to do so. So that wasn't me, what women naturally do. Women naturally, like, oh, defer to others, or like, oh, someone's asked me something, so I'm going to do it. It really was what I authentically wanted to do on International Women's Day. And there were purple cupcakes. I do like a cupcake. So I love in some parts of the world how women, yes, let's start a new tradition. Yeah, so I'm going to come on to that. There's an invitation at the end of this. And then in speaking, there was another dynamic happening on International Women's Day, particularly from women in the UK, the US, to a lesser extent Canada. But then there was kind of like the career working woman Western kind of approach to International Women's Day, which was like, they were just in full blown, like, organizing everything, like events and webinars, and come on, we're going over here. And then there was that experience of International Women's Day. So I just thought it was really fascinating how different women from different countries, all embracing different, like, celebrating it in different ways, and maybe even shining a light on, like, do we need to be organizing all of this stuff? Like really? Because we're already organizing all kinds of unpaid labor stuff, like all the rest of the year. And in fact, one woman at an organization I worked for a few years ago made a request on International Women's Day. She said, you know what? Can we, the women, just tell the men what we want to do and have them organize it for us? And I was like, that is a brilliant request. The request didn't actually go forward, but it's that kind of thinking. If we think, where do these traditions, what is the nature of these traditions? So very, very valid. Women's suffrage, women's rights, women being systematically abused by legislation that holds them back. So the origins are great, and it's how we embrace it today as a modern society, wherever you are in the world. And do your research. Look at internationalwomensday.com and just look at the website. Look at what the organization is affiliated with. Look at the UN and look at the UN themes also for International Women's Day. Like look around and see the conversation that's going on here, and decide for yourself, do you want to be a part of that conversation, or do you want to create a new conversation? Because you don't have to automatically jump on the hashtags and jump on the bandwagon of whatever you see around you. We can really, as women, like, reclaim, this is our holiday. This is our day of the year. And in some countries, it's also Women's History Month. So, let's create a new conversation. I read something really disturbing yesterday, which is in the UK. 1 Britons doesn't feel comfortable or safe to promote women or women's rights or women's equality because of a backlash. And that's doubled in the last 5 years. So it's very clear to me that the conversation is old. We're having the same conversation we've been having for years. And actually, people, both women and men, are tired of it. And there's a new conversation to be had. So let's bring that, whatever that is, on International Women's Day. And let's start a new tradition. We don't have to have, this is up to us. So we can have any tradition we want. So it can be all hashtaggy and social media-y. It can be, let's take the day off. It can be something in between. Women, hey, we're great organizers. So, let's look at our traditions of the past. Let's take the good, the good things from the past, and let's also recreate and reinvent this conversation. So that's my request for International Women's Day 2024. We've got 364 days to think about it and create it together. And I'll be really curious what your experiences were yesterday and what you would like to see next year. So share below in the comments, and I'll see y'all real soon. Bye.